Rainier Avenue Radio.
Friends of the waterfront, Seattle presents Pure Sounds, a free concert Saturday evening, September 3rd from 6 to 9 p.m. Come out and see some sensational regional bands and artists including Shania Shepherd, Fly Moon Royalty, Night Train, Breaks and Swells at the fabulous Pier 62. Enjoy live music, local food trucks, a beer garden, and all the sights and sounds of the wonderful Seattle waterfront. So don't miss Pure Sound's free concert series, Saturday, September 3rd from 6 to 9 p.m., celebrating the fabulous summer of 2022. So for more info, visit puresounds.org.
What's up, everyone? It's your girl, Queen Bree, inviting you to come join me on Clean Greens Living. Broadcasted Tuesdays, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. On Clean Greens Living, we talk farming, community, and ways to being healthy. So come join me and let's discuss ways to create a healthier you and a healthier community.
Greetings. This is your host, DJ Neftali, Rainier Avenue Radio World, the best DJ in the Seattle area. You can catch me every Monday at 8 p.m. on YouTube. Like I said, this is DJ Neftali, the best reggae in Seattle, Washington, the best radio station, Rainier Avenue Radio World. Come on, right?
This Wednesday, August 24th, from noon to 1, join Chief Librarian Tom Fay and other library leaders at Rainier Beach Branch for community conversations. These discussions will include information about how the Seattle Public Library has navigated the pandemic, how the pandemic has changed your experience as library patrons, and how the library is preparing to serve future generations of library users. Join us for community conversations this Wednesday, noon to 1, at the Rainier Beach Branch Library. This is your opportunity to be able to talk freely at the library and not have to be so quiet. Shh. For more information and to share your thoughts, visit spl.org/conversations.
I'm Paul Pearson, host of Star Time, and when I'm not hearing men compare women to residential real estate, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio World.
Ow, Yo,
what up, though?
I got to talk. I got to tell what I feel. I got to talk about my life as I see it.
All right, then. It's time for you to bring it to the table.
Turn up your radio wherever you at. We about to bring it.
Street Beat
with Tony B.
For the next hour, Tony B will give you a chance to tackle local, national, and international issues that affect your community.
Street Beat.
Street Beat.
Tony.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of Street Beat. It's me, Tony B, and we're going to be talking about the beat of the city. The beat of the city this week is definitely the Community Tenant Fund. We're going to tell you all about that. If you are a small business owner, this is for you. If you know someone who is a small business owner, this is for you and them. If you have ever shopped at a small business, this is information to make sure that the small business that you support has an opportunity to continue to grow and be successful. We're going to be talking about the Tenant Improvement Fund and find out exactly what that is. You can receive up to, if you're the small business, $100,000 to improve your commercial space. What does that mean? Well, we're going to find out exactly what that means. Join me. And I want to make sure I say this name. You know how I am about names. I want to make sure that I say the name correctly. So I'm going to say it and bring my guest on and then apologize if I have said the name incorrectly. I believe it's Chera Amlag, who's the program manager for the Tenant Improvement Fund. Chera, did I get that right? Oh, Oh, Chera's not here. Well, then we'll find out. Chera should be here shortly. That is our guest. We're going to be talking about the Tenant Improvement Fund. And just giving you a lot of answers to questions that you may have about how you can receive $100,000 to improve your commercial space. I'll tell you what, we're going to take a little short break here. And sometimes, even still, as we're doing this, technology fails us. So we'll find out where Chera is, and then we'll come back to you in a few minutes.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not busy tearing the roof off the suckers, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Wash your hands, don't touch your face, wipe things down, clean up your space. When you cough and sneeze, do responsibly. If you feel you're getting ill, isolate at home and chill. No, you're not alone. Please pick up your phone and call 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Health 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Health Community Radio Station will provide you with more information. Say Rainier Avenue Radio. Your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Welcome back to Street Beat. It's me, your host, Tony B. And joining us on the program, and I want to, again, we're going to, afterwards, I'll apologize if I've said the name incorrectly. Chera Amlag. Chera, did I get that right?
That was perfect, Tony. Yes, Chera Amlag.
Okay. All right. I like to get names correct.
Thank you for that. Yes, I've been called Chera, but you said Chera.
Well, welcome to the program, Chera. I mentioned earlier that you were the program manager for the Tenant Improvement Fund, and I mentioned the Tenant Improvement Fund, and just anxious to find out, like everyone else who's listening, exactly what it is and what that means. As you can see that if you were watching as opposed to listening, you saw that there's $100,000 potentially available, and this is for small business. So let's get started with this, Chera. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your own personal background.
Well, I actually have a very, I guess everyone has a unique story, but a little bit about me. I was born in the Philippines and immigrated here at the end of martial law in the mid 80s. And I, was raised across the water in Bremerton and went to UW, and actually found myself working with youth in Chinatown International District in Southeast Seattle, and then supporting first-generation college students. Took a turn, started my own business about 9 years ago, and so I also have gone through a lot of what the folks that are applying for this fund will be doing, which is a tenant improvement. So I've experienced a little bit of that in my own business, and then I work as a program manager for the Office of Economic Development right now, and running commercial affordability programs.
All right. And I believe it's the Office of Economic Development is the city department that is, I guess, hosting this particular fund. Is that correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And tell us a little bit about the Office of Economic Development, who they are, what they do, why you exist, and where your framework is within the city departments.
Absolutely. So OED, or the Office of Economic Development, we work at all levels of local, regional economy, and we really invest in strategies and programs that help individuals, businesses, and communities generate wealth. So we focus on ways where we can open doors and hopefully break down barriers to wealth, creating opportunities for communities that, have been excluded from these opportunities and prosperity. So our 5 core areas that we work on are workforce development, small women and BIPOC-owned business support, asset ownership, key industry and business growth, and neighborhood vibrancy.
Has that role changed? I will say because of the pandemic, not during the pandemic, but because of the pandemic, did the Office of Economic Development undergo changes that say, hey, there are marginalized communities out there that weren't getting a fair shake? Or is this been consistent? Now, I say that because the pandemic affected everything. And so I just want to hear what your answer is about that with the OED and the role that you play, again, for our communities.
Absolutely. It's been an OED's mission, and I've been an OED for almost 2 years now, so I can't really speak to the time before me. But what I do know is I walked in with a mission statement that OED already had in terms of supporting an inclusive economy. And I think what happened throughout the pandemic is we saw how some of the barriers and challenges that made it challenging to have an inclusive economy was just exacerbated by the pandemic. And so with federal funds, with local and city and state funds, I think we now have these dollars that are specific to supporting small businesses and helping address some of those barriers. So I would say that, obviously there's definitely change. I think there's a lot of change that happened in all sectors and industries, but in terms of a core value of an inclusive economy, I think that has been something that the department has held in its mission for a while now.
You're listening to Street Beat. It's me, Tony B. My guest is Chera Amlag. She's the program manager for the Tenant Improvement Fund, which we're about to get heavily into right now for the Office of Economic Development. And you kind of helped me segue into this next question that I have. So there's a total of $1.9 million available for this effort. Is that correct?
There is, yes. For this particular round, we've got 1.9 million in what's called the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, which are dollars that were allocated by the federal government through ARPA, which is also called the American Rescue Plan Act.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to get our fill of acronyms.
Yes, lots of acronyms.
So this is federal money.
This is
right?
federal money.
And did the city of Seattle have to apply for this funding?
I don't know the intricacies of the application process on a city level, but I do know that there was an allocation specifically for small business recovery. And so it was through that allocation that our office went to work. There was, stakeholders, community folks that were a part of, I think, telling us around that commercial affordability has been an issue in our city. And so with that, we stand up these programs in terms of, it starting from the stabilization fund, the small business stabilization fund. So it's really a continuum that we're offering of supports for small businesses, and they all came from these federal funds, and this is just one of many.
All right. Now, this is what folks want to know. We'll start off with this again. We're talking about the Community Tenant Fund. Who is eligible? Who can apply for this particular? Is it a grant? Is that what we're calling this? A grant?
So technically, we do not want to call it a grant. It is a 0% forgivable loan. So
0% forgivable loan. I always stop because when you throw these $25 words in there, I guess you have reasons for doing it. But okay, a 0% forgivable loan. It's a loan that you don't have to pay back. Is that what that means?
Absolutely, with a contingency that it gets forgiven at the year mark after the construction is completed. So, let's go back to eligibility. So, those that are eligible are businesses that are for profit, have a gross revenue of $2 million or less annually, and have less than 50 full-time equivalent employees. So there are some, ineligible businesses such as cannabis shops, growers, dispensaries, adult entertainment businesses. But for the most part, if you are a for-profit business and meet that eligibility requirements, have a project in the city of Seattle with a City of Seattle business license, then yes, you are eligible. And for those that apply, receive the funding, the funds, let's say somebody applies for 100K, they get it, the construction happens, funds gets dispersed. Once their construction is completed, then that forgivable loan gets taken away at the 1 year mark.
All right. I have a couple questions about that, but I'm going to move forward, and if
All
we need
right.
to, we'll come back to that because we've got some other stuff that we do. But it's called a forgivable loan once the work is completed, and that time frame is a year. If the work is completed in a year, you
Oh,
don't.
no. So to clarify, once the construction is completed, let's say somebody gets awarded October, their construction gets done in January of 2023, and once that date of the end of their construction, and once the year past the date of their construction being done, that's when the loan gets forgiven. So it doesn't necessarily mean that their construction has to be done in a year, but the time starts ticking after the construction project is done.
All right. Again, we're talking about the Tenant Improvement Fund, $100,000 that's available potentially for you. And as you can see, again, applications close on September 8th. And so we really want to get the word out about this, but we also want to make sure that people have an understanding, again, that we're not calling this a grant. It's called say that for me one more, a 0%
forgivable loan.
A 0% forgivable loan. All right, remember that terminology. And what can the money be spent on? Give us some examples, because a lot of times with small businesses, there are just a lot of different, fingers that you have to put in the dike because they're coming from everywhere, especially after the pandemic. Are there specific things that this funding can be used for when you say tenant improvements? Is that just structural work? What does that mean?
Right. So oftentimes in tenant improvement projects, you've got hard construction. And in that, that entails plumbing, HVAC, kind of your air filtration system, your electrical work. And so if a business has a new space that they're interested in building out, then some spaces that are just new, a new build out will need all of that. And so those are all eligible uses for this fund in TI project or a tenant improvement project. However, it's also open to businesses that are currently running and need to do some renovation in their space or maybe expand their space. And so that also applies. So let's say you have a really old, HVAC system. This would be a great opportunity to upgrade that. I know some folks have emailed or asked during some info sessions, they want to install an air conditioner. So that would be considered part of a tenant improvement project. So those are a little bit more clear cut. Those kinds of hard construction costs will also pay for some soft costs like permits. Maybe you need some professional consultant support through an architect or a design firm to help build out your space. That's also eligible. Equipment is when it gets a little bit tricky, and we've been telling folks, go ahead and email us and let us know what your specific equipment question is, and we will let you know, because there's so many different kinds of equipment in different kinds of spaces. But for the most part, it's larger equipment that is really bolted in or that you really can't take out of your space
Okay,
would be considered a tenant improvement.
I'm gonna just throw out a couple examples. If you have the answer, you have the answer. If you don't have the
Okay.
answer, okay. So you have a restaurant,
All right.
and the bottom line is your chairs and tables are beat down. Okay,
Mm,
you need new chairs and tables. It's going to make a big difference, and it's important. It's part of the aesthetic of your small business restaurant. Is that something that the funds can be used on?
most furniture will be a no, unfortunately. But let's say you want to do a built-in bench that gets bolted down, gets attached to a wall, that needs a carpenter. That piece of particular furniture would be considered part of a tenant improvement project. But
Okay.
a table that, you buy, at Restaurant Depot and you can kind of move in and out yourself, unfortunately, would not apply.
Okay. So if you your big front desk counter that's never going to move, that you either have that's inadequate or you don't even have, and you're doing
Mhm.
something makes you hey, this is going to make a big difference. It's going to be stationary. That sounds like that could possibly be something that could be used for the tenant improvement fund.
Yes, it would be. Yes, it's bolted down. It doesn't move. It's not kind of something you'll buy from IKEA and build on site. Yes. So again, yeah, keep going. What are some other ones,
Yeah,
Tony?
yeah, okay, I'll give you a couple more and then we'll move on to the question. So now, again, same restaurant, right?
Mhm.
All right. Um, you decide that you want to put television monitors that are going to be bolted to the wall, because again, it's going to be something that you feel that your customers will enjoy. They'll come in, they'll maybe sit down and watch and spend a little bit more money while they're eating or drinking or doing whatever they want to do. Is that something, and this is my last one, because there are probably more out there that folks want to know, but I'll just stick with this, and hopefully this represents a number of different things that people may think about, and they can call you and ask themselves, would those things be eligible?
A television would not be eligible.
Television would not be eligible.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's some parameters, folks. If you are thinking, okay, what can we use this funding? Basically, if you're doing something structural, some sort of change in that way, you're good. If you need to do plumbing, you're good. If it's electrical work, for the most part, you should be good as well. Is that right?
Absolutely. You got it.
All right, we're talking about the Tenant Improvement Fund. My guest is Chera Amlag. She is the program manager for the Tenant Improvement Fund. And I'm trying to get you all the questions that you may want so that you can be eligible for this program. Now, today is the 23rd. It closes on the 8th. Do you have any more workshops that are coming up that people can say, I want to ask some questions, I want to find out any more, or have those all happened already?
No, we actually have our one more info session. It's a virtual info session on Monday, August 29th at 10 o'clock. So 10 and 11. And you can actually find that link to register on our website at oed.com.
Okay. Just share that
Oh,
information.
.gov, I'm sorry. oed.gov.
.gov. Share that information with us again. If you're listening right now and you're saying, I need to find out more information, there is one more workshop available, right?
There
August
is one
29th.
August 29th at 10 a.m. and it's a virtual one.
All right, and it is virtual. Is there an opportunity for folks who, for whatever reason, may feel as though I just don't want to be on Zoom? I would rather come in and talk to an individual, because for whatever reason, it may help my understanding. Is that possible? Is there someone available, a place where people can come in and say, I have some questions, I need to talk to somebody?
We do. So we have a partner with Lake City Collective. They are called LCC, and they have a office up in Lake City and have a drop-in office hours, in-person computer lab, and they're able to have folks between 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays come in and get support. And one way to get in contact with them or just let them know you're coming too, if you'd like, is calling our OED resource line. You can call in and let us know that you're interested in that support. That number is 206-684-8090. And you can leave a voicemail in 7 different languages, and somebody from the Lake City Collective can give you a call back and just coordinate if you need a little bit more support of how to get there and get you all the details that you need. So that's one option. And you can always just also email us directly. And if, maybe you don't want to be in a big virtual info session, but you are open to doing a one-on-one via email back and forth or virtual back and forth, you can always email us as well. And we'd be happy to talk with you one-on-one.
So there's a couple options out there for folks who are interested in watching in the background as your coworkers.
That's right. We can folks see the visual too, Tony.
So here's the thing. What if you're a small business and you mainly do pop-ups? You don't have a physical manifestation of your, but you don't have a space. And there's a reason why I'm asking this. Does that pretty much disqualify you at that point? Do you have to be renting, owning, leasing a physical space to be eligible for this tenant fund?
No, that's a great question. And no, so this is what I love about this particular fund is that you can either have an existing space, or this could be the opportunity to go into your first brick and mortar in a commercially affordable way. And so if you are a pop-up and have been popping up at farmers markets and festivals, and you're telling yourself, I've been doing this for maybe 3 years, and I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready for a brick and mortar. Don't quite know exactly how to get there, but this is an opportunity to apply. We have, in addition to the fund, we have provided a technical assistance program with commercial space consultants that is a standalone project, but folks can get matched and get 10 free hours of support to help with lease negotiations, with business planning. And if maybe you've already found a space, or you're interested, or you've got something in mind, but don't quite know how much it's going to cost to build out. Let's say you've been popping up with some small baked goods, and you might be interested in opening up a small cafe and bakery. These consultants could potentially give you a rough estimate of how much it would cost to build out that kind of business in let's say 12 to 1,500 square feet. So there's, if you contact us, we have some pretty great resources and consultants to help folks with that, so they don't have to pay for that kind of consulting. At least the first 10 hours is free. And so this is a great opportunity for those that are just in that space where they've been popping up, looking for their first brick and mortar, and this could support moving in to that first location.
Thank you, Chera. We're almost out of time. It feels like we just got started. But I got to get at least one more question in.
All right.
What types of things should someone be prepared to have with them, have available when filling out the application? What type of records are you going to need? What should you be say? What do you need to say? Look, I need to get this together and get this straight so that I can apply for this and make sure that I'm eligible.
Right. So I'd say if you gather these specific documents or pieces of information, it'll go a lot smoother in the application process. Having your UBI, your unique business identifier number, having your City of Seattle business license number as well, And then, most importantly, because some folks obviously just don't have this right off the bat, is numbers of your gross revenue as well as either profit or loss in 2019, 2020, and 2021. There's a lot there though, because
Now your own personal records or tax records?
business. So your business financials. We will not be requiring you to upload any tax, returns or financial statements. It's really, we're just looking for what that number is. However, if you do go on to the next round and get selected, you will have to submit those records. We've been getting a lot of questions about this too for businesses that have a newer business but have been a business owner for more than 3 years. So it's okay to be a business with no revenue in that particular business, but please go ahead and put information of any former business that you have. So there's some level of information about, what your former business was able to bring in.
Chera, like I said, we're almost out of time. I got about 30, 40 seconds left. And I want to give you the opportunity to say anything that you would like to say now to those who are listening, and who are eligible or considering, or maybe saying, I don't know, this is just too much. It's not. Whatever you want to say right now to our audience, Chera.
Well, first of all, thank you, Tony, for the time. And I think the last thing that I want to share with your audience that's just thinking maybe not quite sure if they should apply or are in the application phase right now is to please take your time and thoroughly tell your story. We've put a lot of thought in the application design so that your application is not just a reflection based off of your revenue. We know that every business has a story. There's been lots of challenges. And so there's plenty of opportunity in the application to really tell us who you are and the kind of impact that you are or want to make in your neighborhood. And let me tell you, that is going to be weighted strongly. So please don't hold back in telling your business story.
All right, sure. I have more questions, but we're out of time. And I know there's some folks out there, but I appreciate you taking the time to come on and share with us and answer some of these questions. Again, we're talking about the Community Tenant Fund. My guest again has been Chera Amlag. She's the program manager. You have until September 8th. There is another workshop on the 29th. One more again, Chera. Where can you go to find out more information about that workshop?
You can go online and it is at seattle.gov/Office of Economic Development.
Thanks for joining me on Street Beat, Chera. That's it. That's all the time that I have. That is going to do it for the kid. It's me, Tony B., your host of Street Beat, saying, remember, whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you are probably right. I'm out. Peace.